survivability, reconfigurability, flexibility continuum, that pointer might move a notch or two towards flexibility as being a greater value for warship performance in what's going to be the 21st century.
So our two key performance parameters, which is a real attribute of the program the Navy decided, is carrier suitability and aerial refueling. What we see when we get to the next tranche of testing after we've gone through this early phase with the early aircraft is really going after the carrier suitability and the true air-to-air refueling. This phase, aeronautical engineering and burning off the software to take off, be autonomous, and fly.
What's been the biggest challenge you guys have kind of run into on the program so far?
I think the biggest challenge is making sure that we synchronize, right? So we've got the activity going on with our aircraft, we've got the design activity, and then of course making sure that we stay in sync with how the Navy is going to bring it onto the carrier.
And how's the refueling side of it coming? Refueling is not something exactly that's a stranger to Boeing, so it's not
No,
something
not at
you've
all.
never done before.
Absolutely.
But the unmanned side, that's completely different from anything that's ever really been done.
Well, in one respect it is. The great thing is we're leveraging how the Super Hornet today refuels. So that same pod that the Super Hornet is using coming off the carrier today is the same pod we'll be using. So our objective is to take that burden off those combat-coded aircraft, those strike and attack aircraft, and put it into our aircraft. The refueling piece is going to be very similar. So we're using the same pods and we're going to use the same methodology. Now we have to go prove that out, and that's part of our development activity.
How does the integration of that onto? Is it built? Is it a pod that would actually go on the MQ on the aircraft itself, or is it integrated in because it is a design tanker?
It's a pod, and it's going to have to be integrated in so that we can pull gas out of the airplane and push it through the pod, very similar to how the Super Hornet does today. So that I think was our biggest advantage. We have the knowledge of what we're doing with the Super Hornet. We've got experience with the pod, and our experience with autonomy is all coming together.
Is there going to need to be a detailed certification for working with other aircraft in the air wing, or is it pretty simple to get to work with other aircraft, like say the F-35 as it's coming in, the Ospreys that they're going to be flying, and things like that?
So we're going to start out with Super Hornet. We're going to build. It takes a development activity and progression, but it should be fairly straightforward. And again, that's been done with the F-18 and that same pod, so it should be fairly straightforward.
You're finally wrapping up, looking at all that you guys have coming ahead. What are you most excited about? Getting to see this thing in the air finally, or?
Well, in the near term, in 2019, we can't wait to see the airplane flying because that's showing progress and early learning for the Navy. But our real goal is getting carrier air wing capability out there, and that's certainly the Navy's priority. So giving them autonomous aerial refueling off the carrier, that's what we're here for.
Today's video is brought to you by L3 Technologies. Visit L3T.com.
This is the Defense News Minute for May 6, 2019. I'm Jeff Martin here at the Navy League Sea Air Space Exposition in National Harbor. The White House has decided to dispatch the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln and her strike group, along with a bomber task force to the Middle East in response to the threat of an Iranian attack on U.S. forces. National Security Advisor John Bolton made the announcement on Sunday, saying that the deployment would send a message to those who would want to attack U.S. forces. The Lincoln's group is currently operating in the Mediterranean Sea right now and could head for either the Arabian or Persian Gulf. And with the United States Navy preparing to dive into buying unmanned ships, the service is standing up a new squadron in California to figure out how best to use them. Known as the Surface Development Squadron, the unit will experiment with the technology needed to control those unmanned ships as well as the weapons on them and how they will fight. Some of the key things that have to be figured out include command and control, manned and unmanned teaming, and battle tactics. In addition, that development squadron will also control the Navy's 3 Zumwalt-class stealth destroyers. To get more information, visit defensenews.com, and thanks for watching this Defense News Minute.
As submarines, aircraft carriers, stealth aircraft, such
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff.
We're beginning deep throttle.
Looks like we lost the live view.